I got 6.
Yep.
Let's call this meeting to order. Roll call.
All right. Scott Patchin.
Here.
Garrett Brammerson.
Here.
Mitch Hodson.
Here.
Tyler Munson.
Here.
Terry is absent. James Coyle.
Here.
And Mary Scott.
Here. Wait, I'm trying to do start video. Here.
All right. Pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Proof of posting. Copy of this notice was delivered to the following on 9/30. Fax to Star News, posted at the Black Earth Municipal Building, Black Earth Post Office, posted on the Black Earth website, www.blackearthwisconsin.com, and fax to State Bank of Cross Plains Black Earth Branch. Public comment. Let's see, any online or anybody here? Action items. Discussion action regarding refugee support. I think Tyler and
Tyler and Mary.
Mary,
take this
okay.
one, yeah.
All right. So I just heard that we were taking some in, and Mary, sounds like Mary's been pretty active already in it, possibly either has or is going to Fort McCoy. I just did a little online research and basically found a link on Wisconsin Department of Children and Families. It sounds like Team Rubicon is involved up there. They were involved here when we were in need, and Jake Wood was the founder of that organization, kind of helping people get materials that they need in times of need to rebuild. So I personally will probably be going on that website to donate some funds or buy. They have an Amazon wish list to just help with stuff. Mary, I can let you speak a little bit. I know you spoke to me after the meeting a little bit about some of the things you had in your own personal life that you were doing. So you want to talk to some of the things you heard already?
There really isn't any new news. There are about 50,000 in the United States between 4 different military bases, including Fort McCoy. The numbers went up from 8,000 to 12,000 refugees there. These are all people that are seeking political asylum or asylum for their own safety. They worked at some point with our US government and or military. And when the Taliban took over, then they needed this protection and they needed to get them out of the country because the retaliation, the danger to their lives and their families' lives. So how many of them are able to come out and how many of them are still together, it's hard for me to assess, but I will be doing my shifts in October, probably around the middle of October, and I'll know more then. And I can take some supplies if anybody wants to donate physical things. I'll give you all a heads up on the on our village website and find out what it is that they are in most need of. They're in most need right now of, as you can imagine, feminine products and diapers, wipes, that kind of stuff. Clothing, if it's donated, they're allowing gently used now is what I'm hearing, but the culture is very different. So demurity and nothing with any labels on it, no sayings on it, nothing that says FUBU or Adidas or anything. The women can't wear anything with that, with any appeal. And then they have to have long sleeves and crew collar. So there's some of that. There's people that are donating sewing machines so that they can sew some of their stuff. So they're taking fabrics, which would be probably much less of a guessing game than having them sew their own clothing in groups. So if anybody knows of sewing machines or whatnot, and thread, it would probably be wanted. I don't have anything else.
Are you two suggesting something like this village puts up a box to entice other residents, or like how do you all want to move forward with this outside of your personal involvement?
Yeah, I guess, I don't know if there's a way we could put a notice on the website saying there's a collection box. If Mary, Mary, I don't know how much space you would have to carry stuff up, but is it just your personal vehicle? is what you're taking?
Yeah, it's my minivan, but I'll be taking a doctor and a nurse with me.
Okay.
But there's still plenty of room. I don't foresee it going full with any of our stuff. I'm gonna be needing to stay there for a week at a time during the shift, but whether or not I'll do the commute back and forth, I don't know. It's all up in the air. It just depends on what the facility is like and how much room and space they have available and what the hotel situation is gonna be like around there, or just staying on the military base.
Yeah.
What they have for volunteers to stay on. But I'll know more when it gets closer, including the exact date that I start.
So is there a list out somewhere now that we can put up on the website and just start asking for donations? Do you know?
Knights of Columbus is heading some of the stuff, and you can look on the Knights of Columbus website. It's probably more up to date. I haven't checked it now since I'm dealing with other people, but I would check that. Catholic Charities is gathering some items together. They might have something about the relief effort on their website. Knights of Columbus is probably the most up to date and active. And it's all through the Catholic Diocese, so you could probably investigate it through those sources, but I'm sure there are other organizations that are doing it. I just don't have any sort of a list like that.
Okay.
And I don't know about putting up a collection. That'd be something you guys, I see action discussion. It's something that Tyler had brought up and I hadn't even thought about it when we were having our meeting, but I'm not sure if the village, you know, how deep you want to go into that.
Yeah, I mean, if we, I'd say I'd be in support of, you know, putting a list up on the website, having a cubic yard box or just any, you know, boxes in general here. And if we have more than what Mary can take up in her, I'd gladly drive it up myself. I can, you know, take an evening or a day off and drive it up, so.
Yeah, I guess.
Hopefully we have enough and I'll have to go rent a U-Haul trailer or something.
I was gonna say, that would be my word of caution is, you know, you put this out and we might, get an overwhelming support, and then it's, you know, like, okay, now we have 2 tons of clothes,
Yeah.
how do we get this to them?
Yeah,
Right, exactly.
Well, to limit it, that's why the organizations were asking for only brand new items. It was going to help limit the items. They're not asking for any winter items right now at this point. They're just asking for things right now that apply so that they can keep inventory down. What we wouldn't want to have happen, and what does happen with collections like this, with the collections I've been a part of in Asia, is this is a little different. They're not asking for gently used things to be collected at certain sites. So we could limit the stuff by limiting the request to just hygiene products that are brand new, you know, things like that, or monetary donations or check, or I'm sure just telling people about the website would be easier than us handling any sort of money, you know, as a village. I'm sure that there's PayPal and Venmo and ways that people can donate money so that they can buy supplies. And the military, I'm sure, is bringing in supplies from their PX on that base. It's a PX.
Yeah, they actually get an allowance to be able to go to the PX now,
Yeah.
so.
So they, yeah, and they've been shopping, and then they have kind of a shopping area set up on the grounds where they can go from area to area and get, you know, an item here, an item there. But I would limit it to brand new things, and my suggestion would be limited it to actual items, not clothing. Stay away from that until we know more. And because we don't want to make the village haul into a thrift store, you know. Somebody's definition of gently used might not be somebody else's definition, and then we're going to end up sorting and needing to get rid of it. So if it's just actual items, it would limit some of that hassle.
Yeah.
All right. Any more discussion? All right, B, discussion action on Halloween hours.
Yeah, we're already getting calls and emails on the subject, and typically the board has decided what kind of hours we're looking at, and whether it's 4 to 8, 4 to 7, 5, whatever. I'm not sure if Mazo has set theirs.
I think we've always done 5 to 8.
I think so too.
Sounds right.
Are y'all good with that?
Come and turn off your lights.
Nobody comes down our street anyways.
It's been slow last couple of years.
Yeah.
I don't even know if we need a motion on that. I don't know.
I'll I'll make a motion, we, officially post hours from 5 to 8 for trick or treating.
Second.
Okay,
Got a first and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Passed. C, discussion action regarding village board minutes 9/7/2021.
I make a motion, we accept the minutes as presented by Danny.
I'll second it.
Sure.
Okay, we got a first and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Discussion action, treasurer and financial reports, August 2021.
all right, your treasurer's report, they are through the month of August, and at this point, we are sitting with about 6.3 million in all of our accounts. 3.6 million of that is that refinancing and new borrowing that has come in the door. 1.6 of that new borrowing is designated, of course, for the electrical substation and is now sitting in an electric CD that you'll see on your treasurer's report. We're gonna gain the most interest off of that we'll be able to use for that substation. In September, we're gonna see our checkbook up there reduced by a little over 2 million as we paid off all the old debt as of September 1st. So look for that in next month. In October, we're gonna see about 1 million of our LGIP funds move to a CD account as well. We're not getting any interest with where it's sitting, so I'm gonna move it into some CDs that we can, get the best bang for our buck and, whatnot there. So, on our revenues and expenses, those are through the month of September. At this point, we're 3/4 of the way through the year, or 75% to budget. Our general fund revenues are at 103%, with expenses at 66%, and, what's driving that is that our revenues include that 74,000 of ARPA funding that has come in the door. Library aids are up, and I believe that was due to COVID. That came in about 8,000 over what we had budgeted for, and Bailey tells me that we will probably expect that same amount next year. And your revenue and expense report for the general fund is also a draft budget. This is draft number 2 after a lot of the committees have gone through, and their wish list items are in there. So hang on to this, because we'll need this when we have our budget workshop, whenever that gets scheduled. The notes on the expenses side is that, or actually, on miscellaneous revenues on the general fund, that does include equipment sales of roughly about 33,000. So that's put us considerably over on our revenues at this point as well. On the electric fund side, our revenues are about 78%, with expenses at 74%. For most of this year, we were below what expected. The hotter temperatures for the last 3 months have driven our revenues up in our utility fund. And on the electric side, Vanguard is also under budget at this point. We're at about 56% roughly compared to where we should be right now. On the water fund, the revenues are sitting at 84%, with expenses at 72%. And on the sewer, revenues are at 77%, with expenses at 59%. Now, just remember, the revenues and expenses for September do not include some major bills that are gonna be approved hopefully tonight, and that includes some of our street work that we just finished up with chip sealing and whatnot. So next month, obviously, you'll see those expenses go up as a percentage.
For sewer revenues, where does our true-up go in there?
So the true-up, when it comes into us, offsets the operating expenses of the bill we get from Dane, Iowa. So.
Yeah, but not all of it, though. There's usually a check sent to us afterwards.
I haven't seen.
They can,
it.
should have attested, you know, it'd be about $7,000. Because what they can only take off of the bills for so long before they have to, which is in July, or June should be the last one that they are allowed to do, and then they have to send a check for the rest of it before July.
And typically what I've seen is the bill from Dane, Iowa has been reduced by the amount,
Yep,
so I don't.
and then whatever's left over, they have to get rid of, because they can't, deduct our bill completely. So I'm just wondering where the true-up goes in this.
Sure, typically, we would probably stick that in the other operating revenue source, or, yeah, it would be typically seen in another operating revenue for the sewer side, but I haven't seen anything, and that's not even on your sewer revenues at this point. So, when we
I mean,
do
we've
that,
had it true-up every year, so it should be in somewhere, even in the past ones, there should be some kind of, unless it's going into the general fund, which.
no, it wouldn't have gone in the general, it would have gone on the offset sewer, so. I could take a deeper look at that one.
Two questions on Treasury's report. So next month, we're gonna be under $1 million in the checkbook?
No, we're gonna see, okay, so we're sitting at 6.3
Yep.
right now. And 3.6 million was, of course, like I said, the refinancing.
Yep.
2 million of the 6.3 went to pay off the debt, bringing that down to 4.3.
Okay.
1.6 of that is now in an electrical substation fund.
Okay.
And then the rest is in the, we have some other designated funds, of course.
Okay.
And always ebbing and flowing on that. So when you look at our checkbook at 2.9,
Mm-hmm.
paying off the 2 million in debt, we would technically have about $915,000 if you're looking at it that way.
Yeah. Is that a concern to have, to go under that?
No,
Okay.
no, I'm not concerned about that at all.
Okay.
Where I'm gonna mention is in our LGIP funds, and I've talked to Matt about this, we're sitting with about 1.3 million that is general fund money, basically. That is at least 3 months of operating revenue for this village, which is highly recommended. We've never been in a position where we've had 3 months of operating revenue in case of emergency.
Oh, okay.
So, should there something happen in the checkbook, I would just move that money from LGIP
Okay.
into the checkbook for us to use, but I'm comfortable. I mean, most of our monthly expenses are maybe $500,000
Okay.
every month, but we're also taking in all the other revenues for
Right.
payment, so it's usually kind of a wash.
Okay.
Does that help answer?
Yeah, then that's exactly what I was
Yeah.
asking about, is, we're gonna be able to pay the bills if we go under,
Oh,
is that kind of
yeah.
a situation now?
Absolutely. It's taken us a little bit to get to this.
Yeah,
Pretty
well,
happy.
it sounds like we're in a better position than we have been, so that's good. With the electrical CD, are we gonna be able to, do we need to wait till that realizes, or are we able to pay out of that, pull out of that?
We
pay?
can. So the CDs, there's several of them. We
Uh-huh.
broke it up based on what we thought we would see expenses come in.
Okay, this isn't just a single CD?
No,
Okay.
there's 3
Okay.
months, 6 months, 9 months, and then I think we have one at a 12 month.
Okay.
About 4 of them that we have, so that we
Gotcha.
can have a take. And at any point, even if I move LGIP funds into a CD, if we need
Mhm.
money, I just need to make one call and it's here, they can take it out.
Okay, there's no like fines or
No.
fees or anything?
Not the way they set it up,
Awesome.
easily accessible.
That answers my questions around those then. Thank you.
And that is all that I have.
Any more questions? Take a motion to approve the financials?
Can you make the motion?
No. Take a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the financials.
Second.
Okay, Tyler second, okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Discussion action on invoices to be paid.
I don't have those left. I did give you out a supplemental piece of bills that came in over the weekend.
On the return snow blower parts, would there have been any value in keeping those around as a spare?
We're getting a new blower coming in,
Oh, okay.
hopefully the end of the month, so those parts would not be interchangeable.
Gotcha. the server working out for you?
Not in yet.
Oh,
They have everything ready, it's on delay, back order. Just said,
Yep.
I'm like, geez, we haven't seen an update. But we
Probably
did
one of those
pay,
shipping containers sitting out in California.
yeah,
No doubt.
Phoenix is a partial payment for their wiring and stuff that they've
Okay.
already done.
so this isn't the
Oh,
full,
no.
full price, okay,
I know.
that's kinda low.
Yeah, I would, yeah, I love it.
I would question the quality of the hardware.
Right?
If that was the case.
I'll make a motion to approve the invoices to be paid.
Second.
Got a second? Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. All right. Committee reports, Vanguard, well, we just finished the Vanguard meeting.
Sorry, Mary, did you say nay on the
Correct.
invoices? Okay, I didn't know if you heard that or not.
Still passed, so.
Yeah,
Oh, she did not approve it.
Okay.
I think we know that, so.
Let's see, so Vanguard, we just met tonight at 5:30, on 10/5. Next meeting will be November 16th. He presented a draft budget, which you have, and I've already seen. For us, for budgeting purposes, they've been working out on KP to rebuild some three-phase. They just finished over 7,000 feet of underground out on Cedar Hill. They've also been working on J and Blue Mounds Trail to move some underground from the middle of a lot, back out to the edge, because it was put in wrong originally years ago. They also had another, customer that a while ago went solar, wanted everything removed from the utilities, went off-grid, and now he just paid to bring it all back in to go back on grid.
Oh, boy.
They did chainsaw class today, and that's about it. Anything you can think of, Scott, that I missed?
No, I think that was a good summary. Seems to be going well with
Yeah, the
remote
remote, yep,
so far.
yep, so we'll keep our eye
We
on
did
that.
monthly on that, basically, so.
And then I kinda gave, Scott, or Sean wouldn't be here, so I took down extra notes for that. Fire District, Mary, did you guys have a meeting?
We did not have a meeting, and I haven't seen, anything yet. It'd be premature, but, the next meeting should be November 4th, is that right?
Yep, correct.
At 6:30.
Dane, Iowa.
We met on September 16th, went over the contract with Wolf for the, phosphorus credit purchase agreement. Paid bills, no discharge violations, and we're working with Johnson Block on the audit right now. And we also met today, this morning, about the phosphorus, Wolf management project, to an improvement amount to, so how it goes is if we help them with, phosphorus bank restoration, we save on, we get credits per pound of phosphorus. So, we had to pay it was 71,000, which is for 154 pounds per year. And what that does is it saves us money, because if we don't make the poundage of phosphorus in so much time, we have to get 5 credits to, meet that goal, which in the long run costs a lot more money, so it's cheaper to help a person that's doing this stream bank in our area than it is to just file the credits.
So if we do the stream banks in the village,
Well,
we get
so,
phosphorus credit.
so that's where,
We don't own any property, unfortunately,
and
but.
that's the thing is, we've got still rips and
Joint
possibly
posts.
dots or posts,
Yep, yep.
if that is, otherwise DNR owns part of the land and, you know, going out, we still have, Craig B. Olson
Yep.
is another possible suspect, or person for, but right now, we're just, finishing up the quotes. So we'll have our goal past 2026 to 2024, I believe, somewhere in there, so we should be good for a while.
What is the phosphorus credit project? It's a shoreline, like,
Yeah,
putting in erosion control to keep the phosphorus from entering the stream,
yeah, where the
basically.
fields meet the streams, if
Yeah.
they're redoing the banks, and I don't know what they actually do to stop it, but
Yeah, you plant certain types of plants that uptake the phosphorus faster and things like that.
if they redo the bank line, then that saves, they have a calculation of how much phosphorus
Yeah.
that saves us, and then that gets turned into credits, and,
Okay.
for Public Works, I think maybe we should talk about, somebody brought up clean water phosphorus that's happening, I don't remember if it was Scott or somebody, but maybe we should just kind of talk about that and see what we can do, or if it's even gonna happen. But I think maybe Public Works should talk about that.
Okay.
Our next meeting is October 21st at, 6:30 PM.
All right. Emergency management, Mary.
Yes, we met on Tuesday, September 21st at 6 PM. We hadn't had a meeting since the August before, so we approved those minutes, and a chair was selected. I'm chair of emergency management. We are working on the hazard mitigation plan, and we're doing worksheets and have given some input on that. Everybody had some really good ideas about what to add in terms of some of the catastrophes that we've experienced, such as the flood, and searching our memory banks, what things we'd want to include in the future as concerns and for funding, as all the cities, villages, and towns turn in their mitigation plan. That all then goes to FEMA, and FEMA considers that for their amounts that they're allocating for the county, is my understanding. Very good participation among the cities. I think they're 8 for 8, and the villages are just, I think, 2 shy. And then the towns just a few less than that in terms of total participation, as I remember. And ARPA funding project, good thoughts to that. I can't see in the room that far, but if there's, the whiteboard is still there. If anybody comes up with some ideas, I think Shelley had said, and correct me if I'm wrong, to add items that you think should be included for ARPA funding. And I did some research about funds that are available for consulting and administrative fees. So maybe not only just tangible things like I thought of one of those ready fill, instead of water fountains, having a ready fill water unit that people can put their water bottles underneath that doesn't touch any of the surfaces, just because that's new now with COVID. And I know a lot of the villages in our area have started, villages in Dane County have started doing that with those touchless water fillers. But anyway, instead of thinking in terms of things, thinking in terms of services as well that can be sponsored through ARPA. And I think that's all I have. And the next meeting will be Tuesday, October 12th, to proceed that final deadline date of October 21st, if I have that correct. The October 12th meeting is going to be at 1 p.m.
All right. Thanks, Mary.
Would you send me a Zoom on that? I won't be back, but I can attend.
Okay.
A link, please.
EMS committee.
All right, we met September 9th, just some highlights. They are back to using N95 masks on their calls. They are quote unquote back to high alert due to COVID. At the time of that meeting, they were down 17 members year to date, with losing 4 of those members in the last month since we had met. Currently sitting at 37 members total, which is lowest member rate as far as anyone present there could remember. So they're really pushing to try to get more people to, volunteer and become part of the EMS crew. Just a couple of call-outs, we do have the highest run stats, the Village of Black Earth does at 68, with Mazo, the Village of Mazo coming in at 63, and then the Town of Mazo coming in at 53.
What's a run stat?
How many times you have to go out for a call? Somebody calls because they need help or whatever.
And that's in 1 month.
Is that unusual?
No,
No.
it's not.
Oh, okay.
That's,
For the year.
Yeah, and that's pretty much on par for,
In how much time?
Huh?
In how much time is that?
That's probably year-to-date.
that's year to date, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Percentage you can do.
On like a monthly average, it's about between 30, 39 looks like the high, 21 is the low, so,
That's total calls.
Yeah.
yeah, they didn't call out anything, abnormal. There were a few things that we don't need to talk about here that were outside of their normal runs, but, it's typical kind of first aid type things that they're going through, so nothing of noteworthy, I suppose. We did approve of a new, let me make sure I get the title right, Assistant Director, Andrew. I didn't catch his last name, but I believe he's part of the fire team as well. So he'll be the new Assistant Director, stepping in, to take over some of Jim's responsibilities, and allow Jim to kind of step down from some of his roles. That being said, we did approve the preliminary draft for the 2022 budget. There is a significant increase to our levy. Let me find where that went.
15,000 up.
Yeah, 15, we're going from 13,900 to 29,000 will be for us. Comes out to about $20 or so a person, when you break it down per person, per population. Mazo, just to throw the numbers out there, the Village of Mazo is at 34, and the Town of Mazo is at 21, and then everyone else in the surrounding area is pretty much lower than that because it's all based on population. We're not the highest, but we do have the highest amount of calls in general. So, just to kind of put the numbers into perspective there. I think that was the big stuff. I don't have when our next meeting is. My calendar decided not to work today, so I will get back to you on that.
I think it's November, right? No,
What's that?
November, right? Doesn't matter.
Yeah, I don't know if we're gonna have one this month or not, so I'll get back to us, so.
With that being said, the hours for class for EMT basic was 180, it's going up to 280.
Wow.
So, it's only gonna get worse before it gets better.
Yeah, and they're saying that, to get like a new person who's not been trained, starting from ground up, get them trained up, back in August, they would have to enroll for a class in January, starting in January, and then they wouldn't be able to officially come on for like another year, because they'd have to go through a year of training and on-the-job stuff. So even if we got somebody to come in right now and say, I wanted to do it, it would be a year and a half before they were actually counted as part of the team. So it's pretty rough to lose people, on that side of the things.
And most of the losses were because we had a lot of medical students and stuff, and they actually went on to other areas. It wasn't because we really lost a lot of people to
Right, yeah, it was,
any particular reason, so.
yeah, a combination of graduate students and people wanting to retire.
Yep, exactly.
I think they're saying their average age is, 40 plus, as far as members that are working the ambulance and stuff, so, perspective, I suppose.
All right. Library board, when did we meet? Bailey, help me.
September 21st.
It was the same night, okay. That's right, because it was the same night as emergency management. All right, we met, I'm gonna have Bailey go through the programs and stuff. I didn't really write all that down. I filled in for Terry, who couldn't make it for an emergency, family emergency, and then Jared was busy too.
Yeah.
We did invite the, auditor in with some questions that they had to, ask questions about how he defined some of the stuff. He did clarify that when he was talking about oversight of the budgetary numbers and that, it truly wasn't oversight that we have, because we don't have any oversight except when it's budgeting the money. We do have absolutely no oversight when they're spending the money or to control it throughout the year. So he did clarify that. He also, one of the concerns was on reconciliation of the funds and how, and there's no actual date and there is no legal time frame that it has to be done in. The biggest problem was by the time they have their meeting and approve the bills from the month before, then give it to Shelley for reconciliation, and by the time we approve checks to go out, it can be up to 60 days. So that's where the reconciliation really, time frame and that really has a problem. I'd asked the question that since the board, their board is able to legally approve the payment of the funds, if they could be paid after they're approved, or does the board have to approve it here before the checks can go out? The auditor's supposed to check on that and then get back to us, and I haven't heard anything back. We may want to follow up on that, because he said he would get back to us on that. So I guess that was the biggest take from it that could help with that. Other than that, I don't remember anything else too drastic, do you?
We finished the Gateway to the Driftless Passport program.
Yep.
We had 45 passports given out, and we received 10 passports back from kids and 4 back from adults. Which was a lot of fun, and we're hoping to improve the program, even this year. It was a great program this year, but you know, you can always get better. So, and we have a lot of great kids programming in the park. We had Legos in the park. And this coming month, we're going to have fun things coming up. And our next meeting is October 19th. At 7 p.m.
Is that on the kids' early release day for the?
Yeah, Kristen usually plans them around the.
There wasn't anything else I was supposed to convey from takeaway from the board, right?
No,
From that meeting, okay.
no, I don't think so.
Okay. All right, thanks, Bailey. Public Works, Scott.
Yes, we met on September 20th, 1 o'clock. We had a quorum. We also had Tracy Johnson, our building inspector, come and try to clarify some of the issues that we've been seeing with weeds and basically nasty properties. And this isn't just a black earth problem. Tracy said that it's so time consuming, and it's a very big growing concern for many communities. Voluntary compliance is what everybody would like to see. I think there was discussion at the board, at the committee level, that, you know, engaging your neighbor might be hard to do sometimes, but if you can work on it together, that's probably the best way to deal with it. There's a differing of opinions on what unsightly and how to enforce both. So Shelley has asked about how to look at the process. There is a complaint form that the village has discussed as to coming in signed or anonymous. Enforcement could require additional funds in the budget to accommodate growing need. Short of this is that hot potato thing, you know, how do you enforce it? I think please correct me if I'm out of line here, but I think that the committee would like to see it be voluntary compliance and maybe more public education to that fact, so that we don't have to bring in, you know, killer enforcer on weeds. We recommend an additional $5,000 in building inspection services to cover enforcement of weeds and property maintenance issues. Vanguard, Cedar Hill Lane is done. Budget for Vanguard was discussed on the electric utility side. The increase is approximately $28,000, or 4.5% from 2021. Discussion on electrical substation. Shelley has met with the engineers and forester. Property discussion has been had. Conversations with Forester on possible wetland area concerns, floodway and mapping, and she'll be working with Forester on each item. Discussion and action on the Village of Black Earth signage maintenance. There was a proposal presented on signage coming into the village, discussing on funding the project, sign changes with wording to world-class trout fishing, chamber sign removal, adding organization emblems, and updating the school logo. Proposal includes redesign. The Public Works Committee has approved the proposal from Polywog Studios for $5,400 for all 3 signs with design fee, and the motion passed. Our Public Works Director received a request for curb and gutter along Hillside Road, and it's on the capital improvement plan, but behind Ray and Webb Street for projects. Now, I'm not certain what that means. If you'd help me there, is in our capital improvement?
Yes, but it's not top priority.
But it's not a top priority, okay. Costs are high. LRIP grant funding is coming up for applications, and this could be a project eligible for the grant. There was no action taken. We have identified several things on the ARPA funds project. We're going to try to wait on the referendum. Well, we're going to wait on the referendum in April before we add scales as a priority item for chlorine and possibly not fluoride or possibly fluoride. Some of the work may also qualify for hazard mitigation funding. No action was taken. Looks like, did we get, let's see, we're waiting on contractor for concrete pricing. There's not a lot of contractors that are willing to bring in small amounts of concrete right now. If concrete can't happen this year, we're going to carry over funds to extend it into next year to finish it. Had several people ask about crosswalks, looking sad. We do have a paint sprayer, and Matt is in the process of checking that out and getting that up and running. We don't know how much time is left in the year, but whatever we can get done will make the village look a lot nicer. Discussion on Public Works Utilities budget. Many areas of the Public Works budget will carry over to 2022 as they're unused at 2021. Any items carried over and unused should have thought to go into equipment replacement fund. Discussion on community lot preparation for water sewer developments agreement will be needed. There's a discussion on well 1 repairs versus a new work with shared cost may be prohibitive. It costs over $1 million to put in a well. Feasibility study to determine what really needed should be looked at, and that's from Brian, our engineering guy. Brush leaf pickups. We need a street sweeper. Cross Plains is in bad shape as far as labor, and well, it's not unlike any other thing, but they can't get the equipment. We can't take the equipment. They have to operate the equipment. It's all got to do with insurance.
I'm surprised to see the street sweeper going down Center Street shortly after that meeting, or a week or two.
So you did get them down. Good.
Yes, I was happy.
And a couple days later, everything's filled with leaves again, so.
Yeah.
And something after I was involved in the mitigation meeting this morning with the county came to mind, and it might not be bad for us to look at that street sweeper as something that would help mitigate future problems. We do need it. We do need it. We don't have any.
Can ARPA funds go for it?
We don't have any.
I think so.
This is about how much we,
it helps the
you know, from there to there, it goes down about that much.
And everything else.
So we really need.
So what you're saying
as a
is
community,
we're in Kansas.
What's that?
You're saying we live in Kansas.
We live in, yeah.
Any Kansas.
Yeah, it's flat. Let's see, we're gonna televise the well, that's gonna be a priority. Perel ditch work may be able to proceed yet, review of wetland documents by the Perels is being done. I think Scott's last day was today. And, there was nothing other on the discussion. Matt, if you got anything I missed or anything you want to talk about?
I mean, you got most of it. Scott's day, last day was today. He has taken employment with the Village of Cross Plains. Danny and Scott Patchin did the exit interview, and everything went well with that. The street sweeper, as Scott mentioned, was here. They do have a newer candidate running it, so the job isn't of the highest quality, but it is picking some of the stuff up. And I talked to Jerry today. They were actually down looking at our lead back to see what we have. And he said he would do what he could to try getting the street sweeper here as much as possible. But it'll just be a work in progress.
Now we got Scott over there, we can sneak it out at night.
There you go. Cross Plains did come in last week. It was approved by Public Works many meetings ago, to have both of our lift stations sucked, and then, the main line going to the Day and Iowa lift station cleaned underneath the railroad tracks, which was a much needed project, hadn't been done in over 5 years. We did get our sewer jetter out to just hit some of the poorer spots where there's a lot of tree roots and known areas for problems.
Which also needs to be replaced.
Yes, thank you. So that was about 2 days worth. Leaf vac is out and about, serviced, picked up probably about a half a load so far this week, and last week was just running around a couple piles. So once chipping's done, that'll be priority for this week and next week. Crack filling was done, you can see by the invoices. Major area was Red Hawk, some of Center Street, Hillview, Hall Street, and parts of East Street as well. Still working with Perels, the county, the DNR, Town and Country to get those final permits done for the Perel ditch to hopefully get that project done this fall. And it's just been, would have been easier to do the project, ask for forgiveness later, because it's so many hoops and hurdles. And, yeah. But, I guess any questions?
You mentioned the televising the well was a priority, or was
That's,
gonna be done?
so that's
There was
one of
also the pump is being pulled too, I didn't hear you.
So one of the things that we're trying to work into the budget for next year is well two, which is up on Hillside Road, has not been pulled since at least 1993, which should be an every 10-year process. So the plan was to get, somebody in here, check the pump, the motor, drop a camera down there just to see how well casing, everything else is doing. Cost could be anywhere from, I think it was about 14,000 to 40,000, just, you know, how much you're gonna find after so many years of,
Yeah.
no maintenance.
How much, it depends on how many bolts have to be torched off and stuff.
Yep.
Yeah.
On the weed thing, not to kick that dead horse anymore, what if instead of, like, because we keep talking about how are we gonna enforce it, how are we enforce it, what if we did something like a beautified, competition, like, you know, to kind of encourage people to pick up their yard, have some kind of competition, have a reward, kind of, you know, that competitive spirit type thing, you know, I don't think we need to discuss it here, but just to plant that
That's a good
as an
idea.
option.
Who does, that, was that the Battle of the Bulbs or something,
Yep.
thing that we do?
Yeah, usually every Christmas.
Yeah.
Battle of the Bulbs, spring version.
Right.
Over the ball.
Who's got the most tulips in their yard
Yeah.
instead of weeds?
Yeah. I don't know what you would be able to reward them or anything, maybe it's just bragging rights, you know, but, yeah. Might work better than cracking the whip on them.
So with that being said, also, my question is, snow's coming. Person's leaving, where are we at on posting? Yeah,
Shelley and I went through that, description, posting. We're both signed off and said it's good, and I think you're gonna look into getting it in the next couple of days.
Yes, it has to be in by this week, Thursday, to hit next week's paper.
okay.
Are we putting it in anything other than the paper?
We'll put it out on our associations that are all free, so rural water, city, county managers, our
Okay.
association,
That'll come out in the,
website.
that'll come out in the league,
Yeah,
publication?
league's website as well.
Okay.
So the plan is to get apps, Public Works committee, and then bring it back to the board just final, right? Okay, good.
It should get out pretty soon though.
Yeah.
Cross plans that for 3 months probably,
Well,
2, 3 months, we're
so-
trying to hire somebody, so.
Yes, with Crossplains situation, they had hired a guy in January. Still we're fighting to get people that left July. They finally got one guy, worked 2 days, called in third day, said, nope, not for me. So Scott was hired, plus they're looking for a person to replace the one that just quit. So it is a very,
So we're gonna be competing against them too on the job.
yeah, I mean, it is a very unique field, job field, you know, you kinda gotta have jack of all trades, master of none type thing. And just how, I think, maybe I'm speaking out of what you guys had in the exit interview, but just that demand to be here kinda 24/7, you know? So that is kind of unattractive to some people, but other people know that it's part of the gig, so you just deal with it.
Yep.
So we'll work through that in Public Works once they start coming through.
Sounds good. And the next Public Works Committee meeting date is October 18th at 1 PM. Is there any questions? That's my report.
All right, thank you. Parks Committee.
All right, we met on the 20th of September. We had the Legion there to speak about, to begin the groundwork for talks around, getting them a building. If you're not aware, some time ago, there was a verbal agreement that they would give up their current location, in favor of putting in the tennis court, so where the tennis court is now used to be their building, with the expectation that at some point the village would then return property to them, to be able to establish a new Legion Hall. So we're just following up on that. We had conversations around it, kind of got their wish list, and asked them to draw up kind of what they envisioned this space to look like, and we talked about different options, different locations and possibilities. So, still pretty early in the conversations, but I do expect that at some point to come back to the village to, have some say in that once we get a little further in that.
I did a drawing for them,
Yeah, I saw that come
rough
through.
drawing,
Yeah.
based upon the old shoebox lot,
Cool.
is what they wanted
Okay,
to look at.
yeah, and I didn't.
And it does work, so.
Yeah, I didn't see too much feedback come on it. I know there's questions about like basement and stuff like that, so.
Exactly.
So we're working through it. I think it's a long time coming, so it's good to see it go into fruition now. We talked about the budget, and at the moment, I believe, are sitting either at last year's budget or just slightly over, but that's not including everything we have on our ARPA list and how that will play out. So right now, my impression is our budget is set for, kind of a keeping the lights on scenario, keeping the parks updated. It doesn't necessarily include any of the additional stuff that we want to add, playground equipment, bleachers, things of that nature. So, I think we'll get that finalized as we go on. Cooper property, which is, again, is on our ARPA list, and one of our, kind of, our wish list items right now. Right now, it's tentatively accepted, the agreement's tentatively accepted, so we're just kind of waiting on that to come through. I think that's about everything. Oh, no, I'm sorry, one last thing. So it did get brought up again, the funding from the grand reopening. We did have, a kind of unspoken, our verbal agreement, with at least the American Legion and Hometown Talent, that we would take 20% of their profits, as a donation from them. They would get to keep the rest. That didn't play out that way, due to the way the money was changing. And so we want to talk about the $10,000 that we sent off to the side for the fireworks to be used to pay what we say we pay towards those or at least to give them their 80% back. The only issue that I have with that at the moment is we still don't have all the final numbers from Pam. So I would say, while it's not really good business, I would say at this point that we need to hold off until we can get those numbers before we go any further with that. I was looking at this budget and I was trying to figure out what that 80% would be for them, and I just don't have enough of that information to be able to to say that at this point, so, I think we should keep it on the radar, but until we get those final pieces, I don't think there's, anything we can really do.
Alright.
That's all I've got.
Next meeting, then?
Oh, next meeting, yeah, again, my calendar decided not to work today, I believe it's the 18th, right? Yeah, 18th of October at 6 o'clock.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Scott, Police Committee.
Police Committee met on September 15th. July call reports, we reviewed them. A small discussion on curfew in the village. Current calls, Cartman says there's just many gas drive-offs. It's a hassle to do, but important to keep following up. One quick trip drive-off report was from a stolen vehicle and created a lead for that police department to go off of, so. Speed board data, we moved the speed board to the 35 mile per hour zone on 78, if you've noticed out here on the way out. Cartman is on a committee looking into traffic concerns in our area, survey is out, and we're looking for community feedback. AED training has been canceled. Active shooter, not officially canceled, but I'm certain it will be. And then interesting positive stories, Vinnie escaped major, hurt, but she got bumped up in an altercation, nothing broken. She was out for a few days with that, and it's good that she never got hurt bad. There was an armed robbery at the Mays Little gas station, mobile. They didn't have any equipment needs that they made, but one of the things that we did talk about was the basement and 22 boxes of files to sort through, and we got an immediate email from the county saying that they don't want our help, that they take care of all that they didn't want any outsiders looking at that material.
What is that?
So it's old case
Files,
files
yeah.
from 1983.
Well, that wasn't even counties,
I know,
that's village.
I understand, but we were told that we shouldn't,
hands off.
yeah, we were told hands off, so
How
that's
can
fine.
How can they tell us not to look at our own county?
They can't.
I was just saying,
Yeah.
from when we switched to county,
It's not their,
Then
it's not
that's
their records, it's Village of Black Earth
you're
records.
right.
Yeah,
I couldn't agree more.
So have they stopped this power
you need a
shift?
records manager,
The power shift
No, they did it Sunday night. I got an email.
on a Sunday night?
I got an email on Sunday that Vinnie was gonna work her power shift that night. Once a month, she's doing it once a month. In November, it'll be a Monday night.
And what's the
She
power?
goes-
Okay, I think that maybe during the police committee meeting, you guys should talk about, doing it on a Thursday, Friday, or Saturday.
Okay,
We have high traffic areas, but it's just around town at night, between 1 and 4 in the morning, it's a problem,
okay,
so.
I'll put that down as an agenda item. Certainly will.
I have a question about the gas drive-offs. Is there a particular store where there are more
Quick trip.
than Quick Trip? Just because
Surprising.
it's surprising because it's so well lit up and
Yeah.
it's so busy.
What
I
happens
would
is they've
think-
got it all surveyed, so
Yeah.
there's no way you're gonna get away, and they've got
Yeah.
every license plate is there, and most of them are people that thought they paid at the pump.
Okay,
But they didn't, they wanted to go in and grab something else, and they forgot to pay for the gas, and off they drive.
yeah.
So, I don't know what Quick Trip can do to, they used to bark at you.
I mean, they already asked everything.
Pump number 1, you need to come in and pay that. Other than that,
Why do they even allow people to not pay at the pump?
well, that's a good
That's probably in the
Yeah.
future.
They
I actually, one time, they tried to charge my card for somebody else's gas because I stopped and talked to them as I walked by, so they thought it was me. And the card caught it and got canceled just before I went on the
Oh,
trip.
geez.
Good thing I had extra cards, but I mean, I was mad.
Right, oh, yeah.
Yeah, there's states where you have to go inside, pay, and then go fill up your gas.
Yeah.
Probably not far off.
So, let's see, there's anyway, it's the confidentiality on the documents, and so, I did ask for some help, but I think you guys have pretty much gotten to that, haven't you, Shelley?
Yeah, we
Are you
had,
happy with the progress that we've made in the basement?
oh, God, yeah. Police stuff is all still sitting there, of course, but we went through and did a purge of a lot of stuff, and Bailey went through library stuff, we went through our stuff.
There was discussion action on budgeting, the police had brought up the fact that we have a landline that, somehow or another isn't being used or utilized, and it costs, what was it, $800 a month? Something like that?
Yeah.
I didn't think that, maybe a year.
That would sound.
So they were looking
A
at,
long distance.
so they were looking at reducing that cost because
Yeah, no,
typically they never use it.
so they have their own line, extension 4904, and it goes directly to their office, plus they have a T1 line that they asked for and we put in 2 years ago, so that phone expense is for their own separate T1 line and
Okay.
that phone line.
Okay,
There's no
thank you.
reducing that.
Thank you. Next meeting will be November 17th at 5:15 PM. There'll be no October meeting.
Thanks, Scott. Any other business that may be brought before the board for future agendas?
I'm just gonna bring up budget, which I know we're gonna need to set a budget workshop meeting, but in your financials for tonight, you're gonna see the proposed budget in the utilities as well. These those are not finished yet. I have not gone through all of those revenues and expenses in the utilities, just the general fund. Right now is everything I have proposed. It's a note, work in progress.
I guess one thing that I'd hope to discuss at the board level, or at least have like a presentation on, when, I think it was this time, maybe it was the previous time I ran for board, there was a Q&A, and one of the questions was, what do you plan to do, or what do you think could be done to help, keep affordable housing a thing in our community, and in Dane County, and in our community as well. And, I think it would be worthwhile for us to at least look into what it would look like to work with Habitat for Humanity, and just see what the process looks like with Habitat for Humanity, to come and tell us how they work, what they do. My impression and understanding is that they buy up property, and then they arrange all the permits and things like that, and they have volunteers build the houses, and they help put a family into that home at an affordable mortgage.
There's been houses built like that here.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
What stops them from coming in?
well, I don't,
If we resell it, or?
It's happening, yeah.
so there are rules with the mortgages that they write, I believe, that, the towns and villages that they work in, that they work to develop certain lots in, you have to have certain levels of participation in, like, affordable housing initiatives. And I don't know exactly how it all works, I'm not a mortgage lender, but I would just say,
It sounds similar to a program that years ago in the 70s, they had one called self-help homes.
Yeah.
I can't remember, it was financed by some arm of the government, but that's where people got a chance to have, they hired a contractor and then did all, the 7 homes that were being built, all 7 families had to kick in the labor.
yeah.
I only know that because I was one of them, so.
So, yeah, I mean, all I'm, as, you know, I guess suggesting is considering to have a Habitat for Humanity rep come in and just kind of speak to what they do at this point, and see if there's anything that we could do as a village to help the process, or at least just let people know that it's a thing, you know, so.
Anything else?
Are we voting on that, or are we going on to the next?
That's just for future agendas.
That's for future agendas.
No, I know, but 2 people have to say yes for it to hit the agenda or something like that, right?
Yeah, correct.
Or are you asking for the next item?
Well, he's asking that if they can get somebody,
Yeah.
if we'd be willing to listen, I'd be willing to put that on the agenda, so
Okay.
it's not a problem.
Okay.
Okay.
I will
Thanks, Mary.
reach out.
Then I have one thing for, also, I think we need to discuss when the next Economic Development Committee meeting is gonna be. It's getting, I know October budget's gonna be a busy time, but it's taking quite some time for it to convene. I think it doesn't present well if we don't start having regular EDC meetings.
Okay, well, we'll look at that.
Yep.
All right, anything else? All right, meeting announcements. November 2nd, 2021 is the next budget workshop. October, question mark, question mark?
Yeah, we need to meet before next week Wednesday for me to meet publication deadlines and get it in as a paper, the state statute requirement of 2 publications before a public hearing. So the public hearing for budget will be before the village board meets on November 2nd. I'm gonna recommend that the public hearing occur, maybe we set it up at 5:45. Or you guys can tell me what time to set that at, but again, we need to have a 2 weeks of a notice of summary of our budget. So,
before next Tuesday?
before next week, Thursday, so even if we can meet Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, that would still give me enough time to have the summary to the paper by Thursday the 14th. Get it in for the 21st and 28th.
Is the office closed for Columbus Day?
No,
What works for everybody?
Monday would work for me, the 11th,
I'm out of town until the 14th.
yeah, it's on to the 14th.
Somebody said there was a meeting on the 11th, wasn't there?
we have
Well,
emergency
12th
management on
emergency
12th
management.
at 1.
Okay, never mind.
Mhm.
Any dates next week that don't work for you, Mary? Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday?
I don't have that schedule entirely for next week, but I don't think so.
Wednesday, I'm gonna be busy all day, flying and traveling. Thursday, I'll be out of town.
Tuesday work for people?
I can zoom in.
Tuesday good? Tuesday work, Mary?
Yeah, Thursday should work.
We'll make
Did
it.
you say Thursday?
No.
She said
Tuesday.
Thursday, I think.
Oh,
Tuesday.
Tuesday?
Yeah,
Tuesday or Thursday?
Tuesday.
Tuesday.
The 12th.
Tuesday will probably be fine too.
Okay, and what time do you wanna start?
What works for everybody? 5:36?
5:30 works.
5:30 works for me.
Oh, God bless you.
over.
All right, 5:30.
Thank you very much.
I was gonna say 10, but. All right.
Thank you.
Send me a link to that one too, please, Shelley.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
I was like, I don't have any link for you. All right.
Do we have a time for the public hearing?
5:45, I think.
Well, 5:45 is what I'll set it unless anybody tells me different. We have not had anyone show up.
And we're gonna start at 5:30 though?
For the workshop, 5:30.
Yes.
Okay, workshop's 5:30, okay.
Yep.
Yep. All right, number 9.
Your motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? You want to adjourn, Mary?
I think she was delayed.
Sorry,
Delayed.
it's an aye. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I was wondering if there's ever been anybody supposed to not adjourn.
Not in my.
That's pretty good.
Every time.
Anyway.
That's good.
Yeah.